Hello everybody, my name is Alex and in this video I'm going to explain the auxiliary verbs. The auxiliary verbs are used to support the main verb in a sentence. For some of you who don't know, the main verb is the principal verb in the sentence. Is the type of verb that provides the information, the description that we need. The auxiliary verbs that we are going to study today are the verbs to be, to do, and to have. There are other auxiliary verbs, but they are well known as modal verbs such as will, should, would, and could. But the difference between these types of verbs and the others that we are going to study is that the verbs to be, to do, and to have could work as a main verb and as an auxiliary verb. Now, we are going to start with the verb to be. The verb to be as a main verb is the common verb that everybody learns when they're studying English. This verb helps us to provide information about the main subject of the sentence. For example, my sister is a doctor. My mother is a saleswoman. I am giving these professions, my mom's profession, my sister's profession, with the verb to be, which becomes a linking verb because it provides a certain information about the subject we're talking about. Then we have the verb to be as an auxiliary verb. And the verb to be helps us to make progressive sentences, either in the present or in the past. For example, I am recording this video. It's an action that I am doing right now, which the main verb is the verb to record, whereas the verb to be is being used as a supportive of the verb. Now, other example. I was doing the laundry at this time yesterday. Now, in the past continuous is expressing an action that was happening in the past. For example, yesterday I was doing the laundry at the exact same time that I am recording this video. The verb to be also helps us as an auxiliary verb for the passive voice. For example, I'm going to start with a common sentence, then I'm going to transform it into a passive voice sentence. Now, this is the example. Mr. Johnson teaches the students about sexual education. It's a common example. It's something that we should learn, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, now as a passive voice, we have the students are taught sexual education by Mr. Johnson. Now, this helps us emphasize the direct object, which are in this case the students. So that's the magic of the passive voice. Now, the verb to do as a main verb is used to describe, well, not necessarily describe, but to help us understanding that the subject is carrying out an action, a different type of action, whatever you want to say. For example, I do the dishes or I do my hair. Now, the thing with the verb to do is because that also it is used in a simple way. Because when you say I do my hair or I do the dishes, it's like a common thing to say that you would be able to understand what it means. But we can also use I comb my hair or I wash the dishes. So the verb to do as the main verb, it helps us to describe this type of actions in a simple way. Whereas there are other ways to express that same action, but to be in a more specific way, such as the verbs comb or the verbs to wash. Now, the verb to do as an auxiliary verb is the type of verb that you are going to use every single time, because it helps us create negative sentences and interrogative sentences. For example, I do not want to go to school, or do you want me to give it this item to you? Finally, the verb to have. As the main verb, it helps us to describe an ownership, a possession, or an entitlement. These three concepts are very different one from another. When we talk about ownership, it's something that you own, that you paid for. For example, I have this autograph album, The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, in vinyl. We're talking about a specific item, in this case the album, which is owned by you, that you bought this album, that it costs you money. As a possession is about every single quality that you have, that you already possess. You did not buy it, nothing. It is inside of you, or it is part of your anatomy. For example, I have brown eyes, whereas my sister has green eyes. That is a possession. You did not buy your eyes. It is something that you already have with you, and you will have till the day you die. Now, finally, we have the concept of entitlement, which is something that you receive, that it is given to you. For example, I have this laptop that my mother gave me on my birthday. I did not buy the laptop. It is something that was given to me. Or a very common example, my nephew had a nightmare last night. The nightmare came to him. He received the nightmare. He did not buy the nightmare for him to be dreaming of that, or it is not something that he possessed with him. It is something that he was given. Just suddenly he had a nightmare out of nowhere. The verb to have as an auxiliary verb, it is commonly used with the present perfect, which help us describe specific actions that happened in the past. For example, I have bought a new apartment near my university. Now, in this case, the main verb is the verb to be, which is being used as a past participle, which is been. and the verb to have is supporting the verb. Now, as a way to conclude with this video, I would like to emphasize that the auxiliary verbs are very necessary for grammatical structures. Now that, because if we didn't have those verbs, we wouldn't be able to form all the times that requires in English, such as the present progressive or the present perfect. So studying the auxiliary verbs are very important if you want to focus on learning English. That is everything that I have to say for now. So at the very next time. Goodbye.